So welcome to the next in an online series of messages brought to you by the folks at the Raleigh Congregational Church. This is Reverend Tom Bentley, the pastor, hoping that life is working for you in this tough thing we call humanity. If you'd like to know more about the work and ministry of the Raleigh Congregational Church, there'll be a little information for you at the end of this video. So thank you for spending time with us. Grace to you and peace from our friend Jesus. A friend of mine recently lost her husband, and she posted this quote from Queen Elizabeth I of England. Grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love. Life is not easy, and we cannot escape grief. We cannot escape loss. We begin full of enthusiasm, and to sustain that enthusiasm, we have to grow and become relational with others and take risks, and invariably those risks end in loss, confusion, defeat sometimes, and those good souls with whom we bond and find a relationship, sometimes we have to let go of them as life moves on and they pass back into the arms of the divine love of the universe. That love lost is the struggle we are in. This time of year in the Christian community, the end of October, we acknowledge the good souls who come before us. We call them saints, not because they were better than anybody else, but because we revere how they lived, and we know that if we can bring that back to memory, strength will come to us also. And we know also in the mysterious connections that we have as living creatures that we are still joined to those good souls. Yet we are sorrowful of their absence. We feel their loss. Or should I say, we feel the loss of them passing on, and we feel our own loss. And in that comes an opportunity. It seems that when we encounter this loss that we cannot escape, when we deal with it, the universe opens up. The mystery of life is revealed much more clearly. Sometimes as an exercise in learning and sharing, we have an opportunity, perhaps it's come to you, to talk about a time of loss in your life. And then later on in the hour of conversation, perhaps you've had a chance to acknowledge how much that loss, no matter how painful it was, somehow enriched your existence that you're living in now, made you wiser, more sensitive, even more loving. Jesus was there in the time we call the Sermon on the Mount, and he read the hearts of the people out on the slopes, and he said those famous words, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." These very brief statements about blessing seem contradictory to the situation. When we were suffering in our worst of loss and grief and pain, did we feel blessed? Well, if we look at the Greek word, actually it is not so much that, oh, I'm lucky I won the lottery. That isn't what blessed means in this context. It means that we're in a right relationship with the divine force of love in the world, that we are somehow mysteriously closer to the presence of the divine, to God. We are therefore, in the words of our Jewish tradition, we are made righteous. We are in right relationship with God. That's what the word blessing means, to be in right relationship with God. God is already with us in our sorrow, yet we avoid the divine love in our life so often because it's inconvenient. It doesn't always feel good because when the divine love comes, it's love of empathy, and we feel other people's pain and we suffer with them. Compassion, we suffer with them, and that's the communion of the saints. They suffered with us, and we're still with them. And that's the bond of love that's redemptive. It moves us forward. It transforms us, and it reveals itself to us as life goes on. If you love in the time of sorrow, if you can sustain that love, you can be of the shalom of God. Another translation of this reading in Matthew is given to us by the translation called The Message. You're blessed when you're at the end of your rope. With less of you, there is more of God and His rule. You're blessed when you feel you've lost what is most dear to you. Only then can you be embraced by the one most dear to you. You're blessed when you're content with just who you are, no more, no less. That's the moment you find yourselves proud owners of everything that can't be bought. It's a powerful translation, relying on the same Greek that we have when we remember the more familiar translation. It says the same thing, though, perhaps in a clearer way in this translation, that when everything is lost and moved out of the way, there's room for one thing more, which was always there: God. God, the divine, the creative force, the divine creative force in the universe, the divine creative force of love in the universe. That's what we can understand God to be, in relationship with us and bringing us into closer relationship one to the other. Jesus assures us that this relationship is not broken no matter what we do. He also invites us to understand that if there's pain in our life, that's actually an opening up to a deeper understanding. I don't want to pass pain around for opportunities of personal growth. That is sadistic and masochistic. But those events come in our life, and perhaps you're in one right now where you feel deep loss. I hope you can lean on the everlasting arms of God and know that in the assurance of the words of Jesus particularly, God feels and lives with you in your pain. God is not absent, nor is God the perpetrator of this terrible pain upon you. But God is the one who brings you back through it into a deeper understanding of the wholeness, the shalom of our existence as spiritual beings. So in the spirit of that unanimity, that connectedness, I offer you this message and say thank you and amen. So thank you for spending time with us. If you'd like to know more about the First Congregational Church of Rowley, you can go online at firstchurchrowley.org. And of course, we'd always like to hear from you. You can call us anytime at 978-948-3993. So peace and best wishes. Thank you and goodbye.